afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. On this Friday, and if you're someone who it's the only thing that you follow is Michigan football and your whole world revolves around it, you're going to have a tough 8-9 months, But we're here to keep you company over that time and certainly today. And we have some things to discuss when it comes down to the Maize and Blue. They are after a big-time recruit, and we'll jump all in on that. Might be in the short term all you have, but you have something still to look forward to. I don't know, sink your teeth into, but we'll get to that. There is football, hockey, and basketball this weekend. I'll try to guide you through if it's something where you just can't bring yourself. You've got the Michigan football blues, and not in a good way. But we'll start with the college football game last night. You had the semifinals, and we've had this first go around with the 12-team playoff, and you have to ask yourself, well, are you enjoying it? Are you liking it? The first round, you could see with the matchups and the blowouts, they weren't very good. You can't do anything about that, but it also was like they should have mixed this up a little bit differently for the games. I agree with that. And then heading into the games last night, and here we are, Michigan won the championship last year on January the 8th. And now here we have games on the 9th, the 10th, and then we'll have the championship game next week. Is it too much where it's dragged out if you're a college football fan? I don't know. I say no, but you get used to certain things, and so you're going to have some blowback. If the part about having the Michigan football blues is that for the last 3 years, Michigan was in it, and it was all a big part of it. And so this year, no matter what, the season, we all know it ended up not too shabby for Michigan, the best 7-5, 8-5 season of all time, but they weren't in the mix there. So there was going to be a little bit where you looked at it and it wasn't going to be as fulfilling as last year. But last night's game was pretty good against with Penn State and Notre Dame. And it looked like Penn State was going to win that game. Watching it in the first half, they settled for this field goal and they got down to the 3-yard line. I was watching, I was thinking, I would go for that. Dan Campbell would go for it. I'm thinking I would go for it too, but it is from the 3. I think if it was from the 2, the card probably said, go ahead. Certainly if it was from the 1, that card was probably saying, go ahead. But Franklin thinking, all right, let's just get some points here. Nice, easy field goal. They did that. Then when they got up 10-0, it was like, oh, that was a smart move. And then Notre Dame's quarterback gets hurt, Riley Leonard, and it looked like it was over at halftime, even though the backup got him in position and at least got him on the board. But then Leonard came out in the second half and moved the team, made some big plays and scored a touchdown. And then, the game tightened up, and it all came back down to the last couple minutes where Notre Dame was able to kick actually Penn State had an opportunity to see if they could get in the field goal range before overtime, and they threw the ball from their own end, and Drew Aller made a really bad pass over the middle, and it got intercepted, and the rest is history. You probably know all that. They say, but do you criticize James Franklin? Yeah, I mean, you criticize James Franklin, not just for one play, but you look at the whole fourth quarter and, some of the time management issues, and you look at the entire game. Or really, you take a look at James Franklin's entire career, and if you're not able to get over the hump, what are you going to say in this game right here? Well, he didn't do all that bad, but it's just same old big game James. No, it kind of all ties in. It's big game James, and he comes up flat in the biggest game, and, he goes home, and that's it. For Penn State. They were thinking they were going to relive the 80s and have some, magical season, but it didn't happen for them. So a couple points. One is that it's hard for Michigan fans, some, to even tune in. This is where if you have such hatred. I understand. I mean, such hatred for Penn State and James Franklin. There's a lot of reasons not to like James Franklin if you're a Michigan fan. And I think the tunnel situation where he was just throwing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then he was so upset about the tunnel security, and then he was adding on to that. That's something right there from Big Game James. One of Michigan's top rivals. So you understand fans not liking Penn State, and then James Franklin in particular. And so, yeah, you'll trot that record out of what he is against top 25 teams. And then, so they go by the board, and it makes you feel makes you feel good. Part of being a college football fan, and it's degrees for people. You love your team and you enjoy their success, but you enjoy other teams' failures and losing. Some people almost as much as they enjoy winning, and whatever it is, they enjoy it. You might say, I don't enjoy it. A lot of people do, and it's all right. I mean, you're not alone in that. You're not the only one. It's like, man, Penn State, they suck. It's great, that part. But then on the other side is Notre Dame. And there's not many teams in college football have as many rivals as Michigan, but there's no doubt that Michigan-Ohio State is the number one rivalry. Michigan's number two rival of all time is Notre Dame. And so to see Notre Dame out there, and Notre Dame hasn't won anything since the 80s either. And then even won a big game since 93 and 1993. So to have them in the championship game, and you can actually like Marcus Freeman and the team. They said right, whatever, but I think it's hard. I think automatically you look at it. I think the hard part is that Notre Dame is the most arrogant team out of any team in college history, football, basketball, or anything else. It's Notre Dame. Nobody comes close. Notre Dame thinks they're going to win the championship. They should win the championship every year. They're going to win the championship every year. They cut their own deals. They're independents. They don't want to team up with anybody. They'll play in the ACC. They'll play Big Ten teams. But when the Big Ten come, no. We're not splitting any money up. We're Notre Dame. And then they haven't had a leg to stand on for decades. And then so now they're finally there. And now they're like, yeah, we're Notre Dame. When Michigan played Notre Dame almost every year for a while, for 364 days, I would just complain about Notre Dame. Oh, Notre Dame, the arrogance and everything else. But then when it was game day, I was like, this is awesome. And it was, usually, some really fabulous games. But then as soon as it was over the next day, I was like, right back to, all right, let's cry about Notre Dame again and everything that they're doing. So that's how I feel, and that's where I go when I head into looking into tonight's game. And I'm not telling anyone. There's some people that just they can't turn on the TV because it's Ohio State. Like, I don't even want to watch Ohio State because they might win, and it's just going to be not enjoyable. And I get that. So you tune in and root. I do think the majority of Michigan fans, if you're going to watch the college football semifinal tonight, will tune in hoping to see Texas win. And then what I think that would add to Michigan's season. If Michigan, they beat Ohio State, and then Ohio State fails to win a championship, Ohio State fails to get to the championship game, then it's going to be fun for Michigan fans rubbing Ohio State's nose in it. Now, Ohio State looks great. No, that's the one part. They have looked great. But Michigan did beat them, and Michigan did only allow 10 points. Michigan shut Ohio State out in the second half. And the great Jeremiah Smith that gets talked about so much, with good reason. He's a great wide receiver. He only had 35 yards against Michigan. Michigan did a great job defensively against Smith and the entire Ohio State offense, only yielding those 10 points. Michigan held Ohio State to under 100 yards rushing. Meanwhile, Michigan blew up for 172 yards rushing against Ohio State. That game still. Now, I was talking at the beginning about things to look forward to. Talking about beating Ohio State 4 years in a row, talking about the 2024 game 13-10 when Michigan, they got their commitment from Bryce Underwood and they had beat Northwestern to be bowl eligible, but it looked like that was going to be it. And then lo and behold, they beat Ohio State. That's going to be I think for me, the biggest topic on this podcast for the next 8-9 months, beating Ohio State. So that was the first thing, talking about the games. Let's see what others have to say about last night and tonight. U of M is saying that Penn State had the easiest route to the semis. They actually played a good team for the first time in the playoff, and to no one's surprise, they lost. Yeah, they did. They had a very easy path and easier than anyone else. They pretty much were automatic. I mean, Boise, playing. Nothing, that was a good game. It was an entertaining game as well. But playing SMU, that wasn't a tough draw at all for Penn State. Rico says Penn State really threw that game away. It's embarrassing. 5 years ago, spent so much time talking about quarterbacks in the NFL and then the NFL draft and then in college, which ones you like. You're breaking them down yourself like me. And you're saying, what teams they go to and everything else. And we know it's an inexact science, but 5 years ago, when I talked about the quarterback position, and a lot of it had to do with Matt Stafford. I thought Matt Stafford was very good and he was getting better. But what I didn't like about Matt Stafford was that, he would throw from sidearm and off platform positions, and then he would throw these interceptions. And Lion fans at the time were like, Matt Stafford throws a sidearm, and everybody says he's, and they were upset that people got upset when Stafford threw sidearm. It's like nobody gets upset when Patrick Mahomes does it. Well, Mahomes, the difference was Mahomes was winning. And he was an elite quarterback, and Stafford had still, was a lot of the years was when he was with Detroit, part of the problem. He's ended up being great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer and everything else. But my point about this was when I would watch Stafford, I like everything that he would do, but some of these throws, you're not that guy. You're not Patrick Mahomes. You got to settle it down. But when Kyler Murray got into the NFL and he started doing all these baseball and underhand throws and throwing against the grain, and then Mahomes, of course, was doing it, and Mahomes even started doing it more. Well, it's had an effect on quarterbacks. And it was no more telling to me than just a couple weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago, that we were watching the ReliaQuest quarterback, just the practice. They let the media tape. You watched it, whatever, 8 minutes or so of the guys throwing. And in one of the drills for a few minutes, these guys were jumping in the air and whipping the ball across the grain with their eyes closed. It looked like half the time. And, 5 years ago, I saw that. I said, what is this circus stuff? That's not flying. But the thing is, every team does it now. But you get to last night, and Drew Aller, he had a terrible game. He had a pretty good season. I thought I watched him last year, and I thought, this guy, he's a bust. But then to his credit, he came back and performed pretty well this year. But he didn't last night. He couldn't hit a wide receiver. He was overthrowing everywhere. He's burying him into the ground. Of course, James Franklin should have taken that into consideration because he ended up throwing a terrible interception late over the middle. But this is where you see it late over the middle and watching him throw that pass. And if James Franklin should have had that feel, You can say, look, man, if he would have sat on the ball and ran the clock out, they'd have lost. You'd have said, oh, he was scared. Maybe he should have been scared because his quarterback couldn't hit the broad side of the barn. And in the end, that's what it was. He should have been scared because his quarterback. But can you tell your QB who hasn't had a good game at all, couldn't hit anybody all game long, that it gets down to, 30, 40 seconds, whatever it was? Hey, let's stay fundamentally sound. Let's not throw across a grain or over the middle late. Can you tell guys that? Coaching. I saw a lot of people weighing in, on TV. So, I'm not going to criticize James Franklin. You're not? You're not going to criticize the coach whose quarterback can't do anything for having his quarterback have a reckless throw in that situation? He's, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. No. It's his job that, he's had plenty of opportunities to be able to figure that out. I would imagine if you were a Penn State fan saying, look, we don't want to put the ball in Aller's hands to win the game. Let's just play for overtime. This guy's been, I don't want to say terrible, but he hasn't been good. You know who was good? Well, those running backs. Let's play to the strength of the running backs. Let's get to overtime, and that's the way. And, you got two defensive ends that are wreaking havoc on the game. Play to those guys. 33-11. It's easy. It is easy this next day, but that's where I'm at. So I am taking the easy route, but it's also the correct route as well. But they did throw the game away last night. Let's see. We've got some others that are coming in. How about Dennis? Good to see him in. What's up, Dennis T? One of our favorites, M Globu 1234. He is praying that Texas wins. Yeah. Jim Scarcelli, who joins us on Mondays, told me, hey, you want to bet Penn State? Or no, he said bet Notre Dame. Sorry. Oops. He said bet Notre Dame. To make some money. So I took Scar up on it. I didn't bet a whole lot. In fact, it was very little. But it was enough to have me rooting for Notre Dame. I bet him. But most of that game, I thought, this is why I don't bet. Notre Dame's not going to win this game. They're not going to win this game by 1.5. Well, they ended up winning it. But tonight, I can't see betting on this game. I can just see, I'm going to watch it. I can't see myself betting on it, but you're praying. It'll be nice. It'll feel like a Michigan victory. No, it'll feel like it is an Ohio State loss, which is a Michigan victory. So yeah, include me in that circle of prayer. My prediction, though, for tonight's game, let's see, can Texas, I just see, does it matter how Ohio State has played in their last two games? Because they look great against Tennessee. And then they looked even better. I mean, they looked like they could win the Super Bowl against Oregon. And meanwhile, Texas should have lost to Arizona State. They got that lucky call where it was a textbook targeting call that didn't get called. Texas shouldn't be here. But Texas has a pretty good defense. Everything points to me to an Ohio State win. They say, oh, Ryan Day will choke up or something. Maybe he will. He could. I'm not going to say, oh, old Blackbeard's going to, he's got his team dialed in. No, he's not a very good coach. So he's got this monster, but he's not a very good coach. But we've seen great, I guess I call him a great team, or potentially a great team, fall apart if, things get close because their coach isn't very good. Now, he isn't very good against Michigan, but he's he's shown some cracks in other big spots as well. He gets so conservative to me watching him. Now, definitely against Michigan, but so and you're asking me what my prediction for tonight's game is I think Ohio State's going to win, and I think they're going to win by 10 points. That's my pick. Couple more. Rico says, not supposed to lose a game when you're winning the line of scrimmage the vast majority of the game. Singleton was going off, should have just grinded Notre Dame out with him. I agree on that. So to see Michigan's top two rivals, Ohio State 1, Notre Dame 2, have to play in the championship game. That, we got the burning red face here from Rico. I know. I just said, so you try to move on. You don't. You have to move on after Michigan's season and find something else to find some enjoyment. And as you get enjoyment watching, Michigan's rivals lose, and so if it's Ohio State, Notre Dame, that's like your worst nightmare. But at Penn State, they're up there with Michigan, so it was no good. You wanted those teams to lose, and you wanted these teams to be. You wanted like Boise State to be in here, even though people would be complaining. And there's no name teams in here and anything else. You'd be like, hey, this is what you get, Michigan. So yeah, you don't want Notre Dame and Ohio State for a natty. Come from a different cloth, says MSU is Michigan's second biggest rival. I suppose since they don't play anymore, that you can make that case. So maybe that's just me showing my age, but I'm going to stay with Notre Dame. Part of it, and I'm not really one this is not my lead thing, like being a super troll of the other fan bases or anything else, but part of it really does upset Michigan State football fans. That you would hear Michigan say, yeah, Michigan's number one rival clearly is Ohio State. Number two, it's Notre Dame. And Michigan State fans are like, what? So, but I get it, what you're saying. Rico needs it. Do I think Notre Dame would have made the playoff if they played in the Big Ten? I think that I remember when Penn State got in the Big Ten and they were like, yeah, they need to get in here because being independent, being in the Big Ten is really going to help them when it comes down to it. They'll get the cachet. And then they went, I remember Kajana Carter with that team. They ended up going undefeated. Then they didn't get into the championship game. They're like, damn it. So what's my point there is that Penn State hasn't won it since. Do I think that Notre Dame would have made the playoff if they would have played in the Big Ten? So Indiana was pretty good this year in the Big Ten, and Notre Dame smacked them around. So yeah, I think it's very possible. They beat Penn State, who made the semis, and they beat the other playoff team in Indiana. So I think yeah. I mean, if the answer is I think yes. Based on they beat two of the top teams, would they have been able to beat Michigan? I think so this year. You can say, but Michigan, if they had a quarterback, well, yeah. If Michigan had a quarterback and if Michigan played Notre Dame later in the season, not earlier in the season, because earlier in the season, Wink was still adjusting. So, yeah, if Michigan played Notre Dame late in the season and Michigan had a quarterback, yeah, I think Michigan, but they didn't have a quarterback. And so, yes, my answer is I think yes. I mean, you want to say probably. I want to be more definitive. Texas has good D-backs or good backs. Let's hope they can run it. What Texas has is a pretty good defense. Rico says, too bad the game doesn't mean much anymore. Ohio will be in the playoffs every single year, and if they lose, I don't think that'll be our fate, though. Yeah, I'm not so down on that. I when you say the game doesn't mean much anymore, it still felt like it meant a lot to me this year. And I think, so is it ultimately like the year before when there were so many great things with Michigan winning the national championship? One of them was that the Michigan Ohio State game, it would never be like that before because it really was for everything and all, so, but I find that it's still, and like these games, I'm more of, instead of looking like, it doesn't mean as much anymore. It's still a pretty great game. Oh, and I think Michigan could be in the, when you say, I don't think that'll be our fate. Why not? I think with how the rules, with the clamps taken off of illegally paying players and now allowing all teams to pay them, that has been the thing that has prohibited Michigan, or stopped Michigan from being the elite. Now, not this year, but the three previous years, I mean, they had crashed in and they were elite. And then they were on the edge of elite for a long time, but there's no reason that Michigan is taking a back seat to anybody. Now, certainly not Ohio State. They should be right there. Michigan should be an elite football team for the foreseeable future. Now, how they've shaped these rules and a salary cap and how Sharon Moore ends up doing it, but with everything they have all the resources right there for them. There's nothing that's stopping them. You say, transfer credits or something, that they should be able to, that's not as big of a roadblock as being able to get the top players in the country. And they had a tough time doing that. So I'm not agreeing with that totally, Rico. Penn State, this is from Michigan Go Blue. Penn State is a really solid program that wins games they should. They will not be an elite program until they can beat some of these top teams. Yeah, it was like Michigan for the longest time. It's like, Harbaugh's really good. He just can't beat Ohio State. We're a bowl game. And Penn State, the lament is Penn State's pretty good. They just can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. And now they can't beat Notre Dame. Don Juan. Hey, Don Juan. There was a series with Penn State on the 3 in the first half. They passed the ball 3 straight times and had to settle for 3. Well, one of them, I remember the running back went out and dropped the ball. Now you say, the quarterback should have let him, and that's fine too. Both of those things are true. Quarterback could have thrown a better pass. Running back should have caught it. I mean, that was an easy. Did they throw the ball on the other two? I guess I don't remember that. But yeah, I was thinking they should have gone for it there. And I was thinking that Michigan, has there been a team, these other teams are now following Michigan because you get into plus territory and you can run the ball on 3rd and 6. You can run the ball on 3rd and 7. And 5 years ago, you would never say that. You'd say, this is definitely a passing down. But Michigan was like, we're going to go for it when we get into plus territory on 3rd and 7 because we're going for it on 4th down. I also think the Lions in there, it may be a little bit provincial, saying that the Lions and Michigan of the past 3 or 4 years have really changed the way football is being played. But I feel like that from Michigan going for it. And then the Lions were, last year, it was pretty obvious that they were thinking the same thing. That Ben Johnson was like, we'll try something crazy here on 3rd down because we're just going for it on 4th down. And Michigan's idea was, we'll run it. I can remember in 2021, Michigan was playing Rutgers at home. And Michigan went, I don't know if they had 5 possessions in the second half, but 3 or 4 of the possessions were 3 and out. And the first one that I think they actually scored on or kicked a field goal is they ran the ball in a 3rd and 10. It's like, are you nuts? Well, that was their game. That was setting the tone for the next few years, that Michigan was going back to ground and pound, and they'll run the ball on 3rd and 10 in plus territory. Always good to see Richard. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, being torn. And it is being torn. Penn State's wide receivers had 0 catches. Yeah, nobody likes either of those teams. Aller must be coming back. They need to spend on a couple of wide receivers. I think that is true as well. Rip, it takes a while for Rip to get in, but then he comes in here. Aller killed his draft stock. Yeah, if he had any draft stock, he already said he was coming back. How salty are you going to be when OSU wins the Natty? I'm not. I'm going to wait and cross the bridge. I'm not really considering any saltiness or. I mean, there's 2 games that they have to win, so let's see what's going to happen before we get salty. So I am going to move to this next topic, and it's what to do now that Michigan football season's over. Here's a clue right out of the gate on something that you can do. What you can do is immerse yourself into Michigan football talk, Michigan football articles, Michigan football posting boards, Michigan football everything on the Maize and Blue Review. You sign up. So you got the Michigan football blues. Oh, man, 8-9 months for Michigan? What am I going to do? You know what you're going to do? You're going to join the Maize and Blue Review. And then you're going to crash the den and every day with their sports topics, Michigan, all Michigan centric going on there. And you're going to be like, wow, this is a Michigan bazaar. Everything I go to is Michigan. Everybody's got a Michigan talking point. It's all Michigan all the time. That's what you got going. That's what you're going to do. Join the Maize and Blue Review today by going to michigan.rivals.com. That's how it's done. All right, so one of the things you're going to do is that you're looking at Michigan's class. We've been all over the transfer portal. Maybe because there's been a wide receiver here, and even though most of them have, not all of them have, turned Michigan down, that's got some people a little bit. I mean, if you're going to get upset about one thing, I guess that would be it. I don't think you should be upset about that because you got another round of transfers that could come up in the spring. And then who knows actually with the guys that they have, what they have in store. But, I would bet that Michigan would get another wide receiver. But you know what they do have is they have their eyes set on a 5-star offensive lineman to bookend with Andrew Babaloa, the offensive tackle that they got from Kansas. And his name is Ty Haywood. And he committed to Alabama, but Florida State and Michigan, I just saw some pictures last night, maybe, and it looked like Sharon Moore Company had their arm around the big fella. They are, and maybe that was a picture from somewhere else, but then Michigan is going to get a visit before signing day, the second signing day, which is February the 5th. And Michigan is going all out. They have their eyes on this Haywood from Denton, Texas, and they want him part of this recruiting class. Michigan gets this guy, what we have always talked about. Why can't Michigan have a top 5 recruiting class? Especially in the NIL period. Well, this one kind of will, I think, almost is a consensus for the rankings across the board. If Michigan is able to reel in Haywood, I think that's going to put him in the top 5. Damn close. If not, some of them. That put Michigan into the top 5. So tracking Haywood's visit, and it's all you can ask for. Michigan has the team. They have everything going for them. And now they also can say, all right, Ty, what's it going to be? And whatever his asking price is and wherever Michigan's at, they might be able to come to an agreement. It's not going to be, and so many other times it'd be like, oh, great visit. Everything's a fit. Kid loves it, man. His parents love it. They love the academic. He gone. I mean, somebody dropped the bag. That's what everybody would say because it was usually true. Now Michigan, they'll have their bag sitting right up on the desk and they'll say, okay, let's go through everything else. And then here's the bag. Just look in there. Tell us what you want. Whatever else you want, it's there. A little bit more, put a little bit more in there. Whatever it is. So that is just where I'm sitting about, somebody asked me, what is there to look forward to? It's February the 5th, late signing period, and it's the offensive lineman from the Lone Star State, Haywood, who would give you bookends for the class. It would, protect Bryce Underwood. It would help out the smash of the running game. Everything starts with the guys up front, and in particular, the offensive line. And so getting Haywood seems to be, to me, a big deal. And Michigan's in great position, and they're going to get a visit, and then we'll find out February 5th. That is where my focus is if I'm a Michigan fan right now. I don't know what else you want to focus on. You can focus on the transfer portal a little bit. If somebody pops there, all right. But after February the 5th, then I think it's time to chill until, the spring game. What do you got? All of February? We'll have to come. Oh, there's other things which we're going to get to. Let's see what anybody else wanted to say, if there were any thoughts on Haywood. Let's see. I'm going to get back up here to Richard, who is talking about a low sodium diet. That sounds like a good idea to me. My January approach is a low sugar diet. And I have to say that diet, so the low sugar, if you want to call it a diet, lifestyle, what are we, 10 days in? Whew, it's going pretty well. Rip loves talking wings. Are Hooters wings better than B-Dubs or Wingstop? I would have to say that Wingstop, out of those three, seem like they would be the winner. But, I don't mind B-Dubs. I can recall when I did the Lions post game, the year that they went 0-16, road games, I was at Hooters over on Big Beaver, and what's the other crossroad everybody always used to laugh about? Big Beaver, and the other crossroad was funny too, but there was a Hooters right there. And I would always be diving into the wings, watching the game. But one of my is it a favorite memory? Sure. The Lions were playing the Packers, and I came on, and I guaranteed that the Lions weren't going to beat the Packers. And part of the guarantee I said, if the Lions lose, I'll buy beer all day long for anyone here at Hooters. Everybody was cheering in the back. I was into it. I guarantee they lose. So my mouth wrote this check. And then afterwards, the guy was coming up and said, I said, what are we going to, he said, what happens if they lose? Don't worry about it. But then when the next week came and it was halftime and the Lions were actually winning that game, he said, what are we going to do here? And I was like, I'm not really sure what we're going to do. I mean, I don't know. I really don't even know how much my card, what if it gets over $2,000, $3,000? So I'm on the phone talking with my boss. I said, look, I wrote a check. I tried to tell him, I said, look, this could be great publicity. You can, hey, stupid DJ guarantees free beer at Hooters. The end of that story is I only got nervous for the Lions blew it. Ended up going 0-16, and I didn't have to buy anybody any beer. And so it all worked out, but it was a little nerve-wracking for a minute. But so I've had those Hooters. I'm going to go Wingstop 1, B-Dubs 2, Hooters 3. The Hooters. Other things might be big, but the wings at Hooters. And then the sauces are like they're already made up where they are, to go. And they don't seem as fresh as the others. Dave asking me if I heard that the Michigan-Alabama game had the highest ratings for a bowl game since 2016. I did not hear that. I did not see the specifics of the ratings. It would surprise me if you're talking about like non-playoff game, because I would think that the playoff games would have a much higher. It would have been the most watched Outback Bowl or Uriah Quest Bowl or Second Tier Bowl. I'd buy that. But I don't think I would buy the highest ratings for a just bowl game overall. Oh, Keegan. He likes the Hooters wings. Richard likes the Michigan offensive recruiting right now. Rip has never been to Hooters. It seems a little unfortunate, Rip. Just kidding. I don't know. A basketball question. How about Ferris coming in with a basketball question? He says the sky is the ceiling for this Michigan basketball team. Time to pay attention to basketball. Well, yeah. I tell people how I do things. There's a part of me, if you said, hey, you would live anywhere in the world, I'd say something like Hawaii or Florida or California. I see. I said if you had the money and want to live in California, and our thoughts are with California right now. In Florida, it's even cold. It's cold down in Florida right now. It's 60 degrees or whatever down in Miami. But there's a part about Michigan. You say, well, you enjoy the seasons. You get especially spring and fall. Those are awesome. I've always enjoyed the sports calendar. I love, football is the best by like 1,000. Both college and pro. I mean, it's so awesome. And there is a little bit of a depression when it ends. It's like, wow. I wish I could just play football all year round. Wouldn't that be something? But then, no, I pour myself into college basketball, which I love. I love college basketball. Pour myself into it. I love college hockey. I'll be watching Michigan tonight and tomorrow. And it gets tough when basketball's over. They do a good job because I like the Masters. So as soon as I saw the first Masters commercial, I think it was last night. As soon as basketball gets over that Monday, that Thursday, it's the Masters, and you go 4 days. So that's not too bad. And then as soon as that's over, you got baseball. People would be like, ooh, I don't like baseball. You might not like baseball. So that's always the thing for me. I know people like whatever else. I was going to say, F1 racing and everything else. I like football. I like basketball. I like hockey, and I like baseball. And I like college and pro, and all four of those. Those are 8 sports. Those take up the majority of my times. I like golf and tennis. Mostly the majors for those. Although the Rocket Mortgage Classic is dear to my heart, so I like that. That's an awful lot of sports to occupy me. But yeah, the Michigan basketball team right now, they're must watch, and they're on this weekend, and we're going to get to that momentarily, just taking a look at it. Alabama and Michigan have a lot of viewers. Let's see. Smash is making a prediction tonight. Texas 19, Ohio State 13. He's hoping that's what the score would be. Wasn't that the score of the ReliaQuest Bowl? Michigan led 16-10 at the half. They got a field goal. Did Alabama? I think that was the score of the ReliaQuest Bowl. How often does that happen? Michigan, their bowl margin compared to the Buckeyes losing margin, or the losing team in their bowl game. Rip's ready for some Michigan hockey. I'm ready tonight. It's Notre Dame. Notre Dame could be in the Big Ten in hockey. Nobody says anything. They're in football. They're in the ACC. All the other sports, I think, are in the ACC. I don't follow them. But the Big Ten, they're in hockey. It's the part where, You guys are arrogant. You guys think you can do anything. They do everything. Michigan's in South Bend tonight. I'll be taking that game. It's on Peacock. All right. Here's Keegan. We're still taking some feedback here from the people. Keegan's talking 3 days deep frying in peanut oil, then use white vinegar, Frank's hot sauce, and butter. You must season for 3 days. Are we talking about making our own hot wings? Is that what we're talking about here? Deep frying in peanut oil? It sounds fine to me. Season for 3 days? I think just picking them up at a place is just fine. My wife last year brought some home frozen, and I threw them in the air fryer. They were as good as any that were out there. Now, I could throw together a pretty good hot sauce. And hot sauce and butter end up making it good. You say that. I'm going to reach over. I've got one of my Christmas gifts right over here. Let's see. It's some hot sauce here that I'm ready to try. Fine hot sauce. Ooh. I really know. We got some green jalapeno hot sauce as well. Just get them in there. Not bad. Oh, hot sauce action. I'm in for some blue cheese on that. Here's MGO Blue 1234 is talking Zingerman's. He recommends the cheesecake, the best cheesecake that he's ever had. Now you're testing me because I've said I didn't say a zero. It's like when people say like a dry January. I'm not going a zero sugar January, but a low sugar January. That's where I try to avoid as much refined sugar. Fruits are okay, but cheesecake. Now you got to put cheesecake. I've got a friend who's involved in cheesecake, and now you're talking about the Roadhouse. Have I ever had, I have been to the Roadhouse a bunch. I go through that drive-through for some breakfast burritos at times. Pretty good. Everything's great about the Roadhouse except the prices. So, but everything else is awesome. I could eat there all the time. But the thing that's the best about the Roadhouse is their breakfasts are the best. They bake all the bread, the pancakes. They're bringing in the flour from Vermont. They're bringing in the maple syrup from New Hampshire. That's their thing. They have brought their cinnamon from Sri Lanka. It's amazing to go through there and see. And they're actually, they bring the best. You want some peanuts? They got to be from Virginia. It's all good, but I find that their breakfast with their sauces and the breads, that's the best. But cheesecake, I think maybe I'm always I have it. I have a favorite dessert on that menu, and it is I'm going to say, I don't know if they always have the cheesecake available there. Maybe it is now, but I'm going to say that one of their tried and true staples on their dessert menu is a butterscotch pudding. And that's one of those things that you eat, and it just comes in a pretty small, shallow dish. And you're like, oh, okay. You take a little bit, and you're like, whoa. And you could sit there and you could probably eat like 10 of those. It's a good thing they only give you one, and it's just a small amount. But you could say that's why having a low sugar January. Dave's talking Hooters. Let's see what he's saying. Always had kids who never ate at Hooters, and now that I'm too old, it's weird to oogle girls younger than my kids. Yeah, I get that part. The first time I went to Hooters, I remember going to Indy I think I was with the basketball team, Michigan basketball team, and the only thing they had going on, they had everybody went to Hooters, and so you'd go there and you didn't feel like you'd go there by yourself. The combine was going on then when I was going, and so you would see coaches in there, and it didn't feel out of place either. Then I worked there, but the I think it's kid friendly. I don't know. I never took my kids to Hooters though, so I'm over here saying it's kid friendly. Go ahead and take them, and then your wife would be like, "You're not taking any kids to Hooters." So, but a bikini bar, Hooters, those aren't once in a while stopping in at a place like that. Not too bad. We're talking Haywood. Okay, well, where's the Haywood feedback of the day? If they really want Haywood, they'll get him for the exact reason I told you they'll get Underwood. Via knowing some top athletes when I was at U of M and how the boosters go about doing things. Well, you're saying that the money is going to be the most important, and maybe I don't know what it is, but I do know, watching free agency in the pros all of these years, that usually the team that is offering the highest amount of money almost always gets the player. Almost always. And the only exceptions are guys that have been around the block and have made so much money that they're just ring chasing. So if you take those guys out, you almost always, the highest bidder almost always gets the player. And so you saying that that it'll be if Michigan pays the most money, that you won't hear me saying, "Oh no, Michigan." Sure. I do think there could be a comparable amount. Florida State, and I don't even know. He's a 5-star offensive lineman. I don't know what 5-star offensive linemen are going for. Here is a $2 million package. 500 as a freshman, 500 as a sophomore, and so on. 2 million paid in those increments after a year. There you go. And he says, well, Florida State's, going 550. Saying, well, go to Florida State if that's what it's going to come down to. But I think Michigan will make a competitive. I think they're ready for a competitive offer. I'm not exactly sure. You have an agent. Michigan will have an idea of what they think they should pay, but you have an idea what the going rate is. Michigan they secured a 5-star in, what was that linebacker's name? NOB, Nathaniel Owoso Boateng. What did it take to get him? I would think that it would take that $4 million. I don't even know if I'm talking out of place or not. Maybe I am. But if Boateng, you're probably coming to the table with a pretty similar offer. If somebody wants to go over the top, well, then go ahead. But then there's always Jolin, who, if you're over there talking about, here's $4 million, and the kid's saying, it's got to be 6. You're like, all right, see ya. And the phone rings. Jolin's like, I'll go 6. Let's do it. Let's go. This is funny. Ryan Day thinks hot wings are too hot. That's true. Well, Ryan Day always looks like he is just bitten into like a super hot wing because his face looks like it's going to explode then. I don't know. That's not nice, but it's true. Okay. Let's see. Ripping on Ryan Day. Bredesen eats his wings raw and prefers his running away. Oh, non-playoff games. Michigan with the highest rating. I'll buy that. I'll buy it. All right. The other thing that I wanted to look at was that schedule for, and I think you know it. Here's how it's going to play out for me tonight. Michigan hockey is playing in Notre Dame at 7 o'clock on Peacock. I'm going to watch that game. Now, I have Peacock. I wish Peacock was a little bit easier than I go and get on my various other computers, because I wouldn't mind having the hockey game on the small computer and then I would like to be able to rewind and watch some goals. I know I haven't really tested the peak. I don't think it's harder to do, or I'm not used to being able to rewind and everything back. But then on the big screen, it is going to be Ohio State and Texas at 7:30. Tomorrow, there's 2 NFL playoff games, and those start. One of them's at 4:30, and then Michigan hockey's playing at 6, and then you have a football game at night. I think at 8:30, maybe 7:30. Those are 3 games, and I haven't even looked at the college basketball schedule tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be a game in there that I can only watch 2 games at once, though. I can't. I know others are good at 10, 15 games, and they got it all going at once. I kind of have to focus in on one, and then when that one goes to a break, I'll look over at the other one, and then I'll look back. Maybe it's a adult ADD or something like that. I noticed that I went to the hockey game on Sunday. Michigan was playing Ohio State. And I was sitting there, and the game was on. I was up in the press box. It's the highest spot that you could be. But I had one of the rafters was in the way of the goal down to my right. Even if I leaned all the way over, I couldn't see the goal. But there was a TV right to my right, and I could watch it on the TV. I could also look to center ice. They had the Jumbotron with the video on there. And so then I would watch the game, but as soon as the puck went over to the right, I had to make a decision. Am I watching it on the Jumbotron, or then am I going to watch it on the it's kind of had my brain was like, you need to pick a spot and watch it. That's what I ended up doing. I think I just let the blind spot. I thought I was like, this is a pretty good spot, man. This is right by the bathroom, the drinks. I'm up here. I'm in a great spot. Why is everybody? And I'm like, oh, I can't. I got totally blocked. That's why nobody's sitting in this spot. Okay. And then what? Sunday is Michigan basketball at 2:00. Playoff game at 1. I think there's 3 playoff games on Sunday. Woo, and a Michigan basketball game. Look, it's loaded. And I haven't even gone through the college basketball schedule besides Michigan. All right, here are the last ones, taking you away. Smash says, here's the script for Michigan fans if OSU wins the title. So, you beat teams not named Michigan and you needed 2 mulligans. We were 15-0 and won, and we beat OSU. Try again. I like that one. Georgia State is killing it in the portal. Does honey? I like honey. For me, I would say no, but I also have avoided honey too. But I like honey. The Big Ten tournament will be so great this year. I hope we get a top 4 seed. Well, you get the double bye then. I'm in. Going to be a shootout tonight. So maybe I could take if I was looking to bet something, I'd go for the over. All right, take a couple others here. Tim is talking about the biggest transfer portal commitment was from the 7-team swap in the schedule. 2024, 69-25 versus the new 7, which are 32 and 56. The Big Ten swap from the teams. All right. Transfer portal commitments from the 7-team swap in the schedule. Michigan's playing. So they're playing 7 new teams and they're going to have an easier schedule. Is that what we're saying? Am I getting out of that one? Love our hot wings segment on their show. Yeah, it comes up there. You know, I have to go and talk about the hot wings in Ann Arbor. And what's this? I should be able to know the name. So it's not Wingstop. Whatever. It's owned by Keith. The reason I've always liked his wings is that you have your regular, you have like a drumstick, and then you have the little wings. But then old Keith, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Wings, not wings and things, not slob wings, stop wings, whatever wings. No, uh, the wing's bigger. He just gets a bigger wing. It's an amazing place. Let's see here. Wings more important than college football. There's Hook'em. There's more Hooters talk. New York style cheesecake. Yeah, he is a co-host. I feel like that. Hooters is okay if you take a woman with you, business wise. What is the on the expressway there? It's 69 on Big Beaver and the other crossroad. This is another one. You're just like, oh, this is too good to be true. Okay, here we go. Oh, now you want my opinion on the Michigan schedule, dropping 7 teams for 7 new teams. It sounds like 11-win season to me. Well, you know what you've done? You've given me. I haven't looked. I haven't looked at the schedule and thought about it to next year. So, Tim, what I am going to do is take a look at it. I think Michigan should be a college football playoff team next year. I feel like that. But let me look at that schedule, and that is going to be something that we'll fire up next week. I just don't feel like I could go through it game by game here and do it, but we're sort of at the end of the show. Make some Rotel. Rotel, you were getting into, you get into playoff season where, Rotel, that's where you just have that big block of Velveeta, then you just throw the Rotel in, and then 10 minutes later, you've got a gigantic bowl of queso. Put that in air quotes for those listening out there. That's pretty good. We were getting some tailgate recipes getting in there. Happy Friday to you, Andres. Ferris was talking about his parents used to make cupcakes with the bottom half chocolate and the top half chocolate chip cheesecake. Baked, so the chips melt. Walnuts on top. Could eat 4 at a time. Wow. Woo! We got golf picks coming in. Who are we picking? Keegan Bradley? Is that what or Henley? All right. Breaking down the course, like I said, I'm not until we get to Augusta, I'm not in. Korean barbecue. There's one in Ann Arbor. It's not bad. Buy some ground beef and Mexican cheese blend and putting it in a tortilla wrap like a crunch wrap on the frying pan. You got a little fire there. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go. And, you never wrong. Just go and get some pizza if you're looking for something for over the weekend. Okay, that's going to do it. We'll see you over on the Maize and Blue Review. I will be posting all weekend long on Michigan on these games and, including the hockey game tonight. That's going to do it. Next week, we'll be looking at the Michigan schedule for next year and the teams that they've swapped out, how it looks for them. Until then, everybody have themselves a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. We love seeing you over here, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday. Till then, bye.